and today we're talking about our Spectrum lesson on Sunday, the 22nd of October. This is Christ the King Sunday. It's a day when we celebrate the reign of Christ and how that impacts our lives and our world. You'll remember that all term we are thinking about ways that God loves us and how we can show our love for God. And thinking about Christ as a king is an interesting way of approaching God's love. What we learn, especially at Easter time, is that Christ is a different type of king than the ones we usually expect. This term we've heard about kings like Solomon and David and Rehoboam, who were all pretty traditional. They all wore crowns, they all lived in palaces, they all had lots of power and big armies that they could use to fight wars. They wore fancy clothes. Solomon, we're told, had stables with tens of thousands of horses in them. Christ isn't really anything like this. Jesus the Christ came and was very humble. Though he was God, he appeared in very normal circumstances, in lower class circumstances, in contrast to many of the kings we know today. And the way that we'll be looking at Christ as a different type of king is through the lens of Isaiah. You'll remember last week we began learning about the prophets and what a prophet is. We heard that prophets are people who deliver messages from God. And this week, we heard about Hosea before. Now we're hearing about Isaiah. And Isaiah is the biggest book in the prophets. He's got 66 chapters, and they're generally split into 3 chunks. And one of those chunks talks about the suffering servant. There's a series of verses called the suffering servant verses that people usually see as pointing to Christ. And it talks about Jesus as being wounded for our transgressions and pierced for our iniquities, and kind of points to God being one who doesn't lead from behind, and tell us where to go and stay back where it's safe. But God is one who gets involved and gets down in the muck with us and isn't afraid to be right beside us as we go through difficult times. And that's really one of the most beautiful things about the Christian faith, is that the God that we worship knows what it's like to suffer and to struggle, because God has been there himself. God has experienced the hardship of human life, the hardship of loss, the hardship of death and grief, and is able then to bring us through to the other side and to give us hope. And this hope is what we celebrate when we think of the reign of Christ the King, that this different type of king, Jesus, showed us a different way to live and inspires us to live differently as we follow his example. There's a lot in there, but I think we'll distill it for the kids just to say that God shows us a different type of king. After we go over the story upstairs, Lindsay is going to lead the children's address. We'll head downstairs and we'll watch a film about the prophets, reminding the kids what a prophet is, and then there's an intro into Isaiah. And after that, we'll have a short review game that you can play, and that's described in the notes. And after you play the review game, you'll be making crafts. You're making a crown banner, and I'll describe that in just a second here. Now, to make our Christ the King craft, we're going to make a banner with jeweled crowns on it. To start off, you take a rectangle of felt, and we've got lots of different colors here of felt. And on the back of the felt, there's sticky paper. You just pull away the white, and then it will be sticky on the back, so you don't have to worry about glue or sewing it or anything. But invite the kids to cut out a crown shape of their own liking. They can make it, as funky or as traditional as they want. And then use some of the jewels that we'll include to decorate your crown. Those are sticky backed as well. They're just stickers. Peel it off and decorate your crowns. Once all of the kids have cut out their crown shapes from the felt and decorated them with the jewels, lay them out on the banner that Eleanor Winton has very kindly made for us. So I'll try and hold this up so you can see it. It's a big banner, so there should be room for lots of crowns on it. And here's my advice to you, is before you stick anything on the banner, lay the crowns out with their paper still on the back so you can see what the finished thing will look like. Once all of the crowns have a place on the banner and everybody's happy with the way that they're laid out, Then after that, everyone can peel off the sticky back paper from their crown shape and pop them on where they will stay permanently. It looks like a really good craft, and we'll hopefully be able to bring it into the church so everyone else can see what the kids have been working on. If you still have time left after you've watched the DVD and you've played your review game and made your crown banner, there are a few games in the notes accompanying this video that you can play, and the kids will have a good time with those. I hope the lesson goes really well, and I look forward to hearing about it.